It's Blissen Up. I'm your host, Rachel Lang, intuitive astrologer. Get starstruck with inspiring guests and engaging conversations. Blissen Up starts now. Hello and welcome. You are listening to Blissen Up. I'm your host, Rachel Lang, in studio, as always, with the amazing and talented John Williams.
Oh, thank you, Rachel. Good to see you.
Good to see you, too.
TGIF.
Yes.
Thank God it's Friday.
Yeah. Aww.
I'm just kidding.
No, actually, John says TGIF. Thank God it's Friday.
What do you say?
Because he gets to be here.
Oh, of course.
So
of
it's
course. That's exactly what it is. I always look forward to our
little
new
bliss.
our Blissen sessions
Exactly.
with our Blisseners.
Because I mean, what other shows are this fun?
I totally agree, because I do have a great time with you, and you always make me feel special, so I love it.
Thank you. That's because you are special.
Oh, thank you.
as are all of our listeners.
Yes,
so
they are.
So welcome. Today is a really powerful day, and so I just want to take a moment and reflect on the fact that the sun has just moved into the sign of Scorpio as of 10:47 a.m. here on the West Coast. Yeah, I don't think we've actually ever had a show so close to a solar ingress.
Mm-hmm.
And so what we're doing today is we're all collectively starting a brand new cycle together. Each time the sun switches signs and moves into a new sign, a new aspect of our lives is highlighted, and a new set of awarenesses, awakenings, is available for us. And so we're all collectively moving into this together. We're all kind of experiencing this, and it affects your personal charts in specific ways too. So while you're following on the universal themes that we're all exploring, there are certain aspects and influences in your own chart that are going to be highlighted as well. So today's show is going to be all about Scorpio. And I've called this episode Sun in Scorpio, Power, Sex, and Magic.
Okay.
So, and you might be wondering why I've associated Scorpio with those things. And so if you're a Scorpio yourself, you might actually appreciate being connected to those those three keywords. But what is Scorpio? Scorpio's power lies on the emphasis of regeneration. So, for that Scorpio influence, and today we're gonna really talk about these three keywords. We're gonna talk about about what it means to be a Scorpio, and how to make the most of this time, and how to use the power of the Sun in Scorpio to manifest changes in your life, to experience transformation. We're gonna talk about the process of magic and how it unfolds for you. As someone who really who has a little bit of Scorpio in my chart, I personally, I've experienced, and I'm sure many of you listening have, so many times when I can't even talk when that power of transformation has opened up situations in my life that can only be described as magic. When the supernatural forces meet the material forces, we experience shifts. We experience real tremendous, energy transfers, energy changes in our lives. And this actually plays out in our external environment, in the life circumstances. And for many of you who've been following this show, you know that September and October have been, full of transformation. September we had 2 eclipses. We had, Saturn changing signs. We had all of these events that were happening, kind of signaling for us time of letting go, time of unearthing that which no longer belongs in your life, no longer serves you. And so as a result of that, what happens when you do that process of releasing, that process of letting go, and then restoring balance, which is what the sun in Libra was all about, balancing those aspects of ourselves, the masculine and the feminine, then we can facilitate a co-creative process, and that starts to become materialized when the sun's in Scorpio. So we'll talk a lot about that. When I talk about power as it relates to Scorpio, the power isn't necessarily power in terms of domination, although that is something that Scorpios have that's been a concept that John's laughing over. He's like, yes. So that's been a concept that's been linked to Scorpios, but really the power comes from the detachment. That's really where the power is. The detachment in order to let go, in order for things to regenerate, in order for that energy to shift. So, that's where the realm of magic begins for us individually. That's where we experience our supernatural powers. It's where the lower and higher bodies come together. And in this dimension, Scorpio is on the fourth ray of manifestation. And so what happens when the sun moves into Scorpio is that darkness begins to predominate and the light, it begins to take over. And the days grow shorter. And so what happens symbolically is that we start to awaken the hidden aspects of ourselves that we can only find by going inward, deep into those dark places of our subconscious. And we reveal there what we can't see necessarily on the surface, but what we can't see is often the most powerful influence that shapes our lives and our life experiences. Those beliefs that aren't necessarily conscious, the wants, the desires that function to keep us safe and keep us secure, but are perhaps our with the desires that we have to be expansive and seen and heard and to live our most blissful, purposeful lives. So this is a lot of what we're going to talk about today.
All right.
Yeah. But first, before we dive into Scorpio, we've got a very action-packed week. This is just the icing on the cake. So let's get starstruck. Starstruck is that segment of our show where we talk about what's happening this week so that you can make the most of each day. And so we start today with some really incredible astrological influences. As you awoke this morning, you may have felt a strong desire to connect very deeply with another person. That's all thanks to an action-packed Venus transit that helped us awaken passion and intimacy. And so we started out with that, and then we went right into the sun's ingress into Scorpio. And our water signs, Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces, are going to be especially touched by this influence and by the influences of this weekend. So pay attention. It's a great night for deep connection, meditation, spiritual gatherings. Maybe you'll want to really spend some time connecting with spirit, connecting with loved ones in spirit, especially. Talk to your loved ones who've passed over. They're offering guidance and insight for you at this time in your life. All of those creative and spiritual activities are incredibly pronounced this weekend, and especially tonight. The moon's in Pisces, making us more fluid, flexible, and creative. Our mutable signs, Virgo, Pisces, Gemini, and Sagittarius, when the moon's in Pisces, you need a little bit of grounding. You need to anchor yourself a little bit. So spend some time in nature, soak your feet in water, do anything that you can to kind of ground your energy. Go outside and hug a tree. That's one example I love that I actually do sometimes. If I need grounding, I'm like, tomorrow, we're still all feeling a lot of this energy. We're all going to feel perhaps a little dreamy and mystic and reflective. And it's a perfect day for a trip to the pumpkin patch. It's that season. So take the children in your life or, kidnap, or not kidnap, but I don't advocate kidnapping. But, take your little nieces and nephews if you don't have your own children or the neighbors down the street and really go out and get in touch with that innocent inner child of yours. Spend some time outside. This is then Sunday. Then we're still kind of in this influence. Saturday night, really romantic, really charming, really beautiful. Sunday, gears shift. It's a day of action and activity. Our social butterflies, especially our Aries, Gemini, and Aquarius, our friends with those signs are going to love the connections that are formed under this influence, under this day's influences. It's not time to hold people accountable for being late or for what they said they were going to do or for what ideas might come up as you have conversations. But it's a day to really just enjoy the process of brainstorming, enjoy the ideas that are coming through your conversations. It's our earth signs, especially Taurus and Virgo, just forget about your diet. This is a day of indulgence. It's a day of connection. It's a day of really just relishing good food, having a couple cocktails with some friends, and especially when Venus and Jupiter link up around 1:03 p.m. We're gonna want to go shopping. We're gonna want to have mimosas or Bloody Marys. We're gonna want to plan special events. This is a day to get together with old friends or new friends and really connect. Carry that spirit into the evening because we've got a little bit of angst, a little bit of anxiety or frustration kind of popping up to the surface. And so we want to remember the generosity and love that's highlighted early in the afternoon, especially our cardinal signs, Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn. Resist that anxiety. Put it away. Go shopping instead. Then Monday, said the Libra. Then Monday, the moon is void of course almost all day. This means that it's not applying any aspect before it switches signs. When the moon's void of course, it kind of feels to us like a retrograde, like a Mercury retrograde. Everything feels a little bit foggy. We don't necessarily feel like we're moving fast or moving forward in our lives. And so for some of us, this is a really beautiful opportunity to practice just flowing, going with the flow. It's a great time to finish up past projects. Because the moon's in Aries, action-oriented Aries, and this void of course influence can kind of slow that down. We might feel that tension of wanting to start something new, but having things to clear off our plate first. So take care of past projects, clear off that that to-do list, and then realize that the next couple of days you're going to really be able to have the opportunity to create something new. On Tuesday is powerful. Tuesday is the day to mark on your calendar. We have a really, really potent full moon at 5:05 a.m. here on the Pacific Coast. This is the Taurus full moon, and it's a super moon, which means it's very close. And so we feel that electromagnetic energy. We feel the pull of all the water in our bodies kind of, activated, animated at this time. And so that full moon is gonna really influence us. It's the third of a series of super moons that we've had, and so we're gonna see a lot of continuation from that September full moon, which was an eclipse, and kind of sparked and catalyzed a lot of changes happening for us in our lives. And so we might see some of the reverberations of those themes that we were experiencing coming up in this one. The Sabian symbol I love Sabian symbols. Mm-hmm. They give us visual images. We can make it real for ourselves. So the Sabian symbol for the full moon at 4 degrees Taurus is the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. Hope and promise await us if we live into the magic. Here we go again. That keyword. It's my keyword for the month. If we live into the magic that we are, we have the ability to co-create our reality, and we get to see that material resources, that pot of gold, is not really an illusion that's outside of our reach, but it's tangible, and it's tangible if we follow the path of illumination. What is a rainbow? A rainbow is refracted light. It's light that's shown to us on the entire spectrum. And so, right now, this full moon signifies that possibility that we're able to see more clearly. We're able to see things and see our way to those resources, or to that, whatever that treasure is that you're trying to manifest in your life. Perhaps for you, that treasure is a partner. Perhaps it is a new child. Perhaps it is a new car. Perhaps it's all of the above. Whatever that wealth, that treasure represents for you, this full moon illuminates and helps you to see the path clearly toward that. The sun at 4 degrees Scorpio is a youth carries a lighted candle in a devotional ritual. And so here again, we see the theme of innocence. We see that the importance of that childlike part of us that's full of awe and full of wonder, carrying the light for us. We are that light. We just have to access it, and we have to get in touch with it. And then we sort of illuminate our own way toward that pot of gold, toward that treasure that we're seeking. So, how do we put this in practical terms? Number one, a ritual would be great. If you have a full moon ritual, or if you need one, let me know. Reach out on Facebook, reach out on Twitter. Let us know what your rituals are for full moon activities. This is a great time to be in meditation, to be connecting with other people in a spiritual community. It's also a great time to access your imagination. So if you're an artist, if you are a writer, take some time. Give yourself a few hours on this full moon morning, if possible, or sometime during that day, and really just kind of get in touch with that part of yourself, creative, spiritual. For fixed signs, Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius, you're going to especially feel this one. This one's gonna touch you in your personal life. Our mutable signs, Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces, need to stand still so that you can really make the most of this influence. Listen. That's your keyword for how to make the most of this full moon. Listen. So give yourself some silent, meditative time, even if that means you're walking outside. Because we know for our mutable signs, turning off the mind can be a very challenging thing. Right, Pisces?
Yeah.
Right, Pisces, Gemini?
Uh-huh.
So sometimes the best meditation is doing the dishes, or taking a walk in nature, and paying attention, being a sponge for the signs and the symbols that are in your environment that are reaching out to you. And then our cardinal signs, finally, I haven't forgotten about you, are Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn. Just take a nap. No, I'm just joking. No. For you, this one really is a continuation of that cardinal full moon that we just recently had. And so, what's happening for you now is it's time to ground. It's time to use the fixed influence to remain steadfast. Chapters have been closing for you significantly, and new beginnings have been starting to emerge in your lives. And so what this moment requires of you is your attention, and your and so sometimes when we're in that transition between closing out an old chapter and beginning a new chapter, we feel frustration or like energy, like excess energy. And so just sit with that. Give yourselves some time to sit and listen and really just ground yourself. Also, it's a time of letting go for you. I know you're tired of hearing me say that, but you have to keep letting go. Clear anything that's standing in your way. That goes for all of you, but especially our cardinal signs, because you've had a whole lot of activity. So the fun isn't over yet for the week. On Wednesday, the moon moves into Gemini, and we all have a little bit of relief from some of this intensity that we're feeling right now. So Wednesday and Thursday are great for social interaction, for accomplishment at work, and of course, what does Gemini love more than play? Like Gemini is the sign that's ruled by Mercury. It's the trickster planet. It's all about it's very focused, very not all about, but it's very focused on playfulness, on chatting, on socializing, on getting together. And so our air signs, especially Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius, This is a great time for you to be connecting with other people, to be making those conversations. If you've been thinking about someone and you're like, I should really call her or him, I should really get in touch, do it this day, Wednesday. We have a little bit of grace and ease on Wednesday, but it turns into very structured, focused thought and activity on Thursday. And so that moon in Gemini is still giving us great ideas, giving us some insights, helping us take care of business, take charge of situations, manage our tasks, our to-do lists, but we have a little bit more focus and a little bit more structure around those activities. So that is our Starstruck for the week.
Right.
Let's take a really short break. I found this Scorpio song, song all about Scorpio, and it's really funny. It's kind of funny. It's kind of like it sort of epitomizes, why Scorpios might get a bad rap or some of the key words involved in Scorpio. So I want to play this for you, and when we come back, we'll talk all about power, sex, magic, and the sun in Scorpio. So stay tuned.
I go out almost every time. People wanna ask me, what's your sign? I think it's kinda silly, but I really don't mind. I pause, then I reply, yes, with a little grin, and then they go, yes, of course, it just makes so much sense. Cause everybody everywhere knows that answer only comes from a Scorpio. And with that little line, I know I got 'em. Other signs in the crowd slide down to the bottom. Seems a little odd, it would make me awesome, but it does, just cause I was born in autumn. All my other Scorpios are much the same, looking for love and outrunning the game. Down up full power now without shame. This song is about you, you're so vain. So it goes in Zodiac, our egos tend to be the worst. Born October 23rd to November 21st. Live in houses filled with mirrors in which we peer upon the hour. Off to the envy of the other 11 and drunk on our own power. Passionate, jealous, obsessive and intense. Magnetic and ambitious, completely self-obsessed. Narcissistic, secretive, dark and emotional. Brooding, stubborn, resentful, and very, very sexual. All of the Pisces, Taurus, Gemini's, Aquarius, all of the Aries, Cancers, and the Sagittarius, all of the Libras, Virgos, Capricorns, and Leos. All will fall and face their fate at the feet of the Scorpio. All of the Pisces, Taurus, Gemini's, Aquarius, all of the Aries, Cancers, and the Sagittarius, all of the Libras, Virgos, Capricorns, and Leos. All will fall and face their fate at the feet of the Scorpio. Take a look here, do you like what you see? Yeah. Don't answer that, I was talking to me. I own every room when I enter a place. I got a wall full of photographs all of my face. And it isn't my fault I was born into it. Doesn't this beat sound like porn music? Doesn't it even kinda make you wanna do it? Sex is a dialect, Scorpio is fluent. Here's a little bit of odd irony. I couldn't care less about astrology. Never read my horoscopes on policy. My Scorpios here all follow me. You ever got it on out in terrible weather? Have you ever gotten married and barely remember? You ever yelled out that you'll live forever? Is your birthday in the first 2/3 of November? Don't you other signs go lose your minds and have an episode, or I'll declare you Scorpio haters are all arachnos. If you tried to challenge this, then surely you will truly fail. Get you pictures in our pictures, poison you with our tale. Passionately jealous, obsessive and intense, magnetic and ambitious, completely self-obsessed. Narcissistic, secretive, dark and emotional. Brooding, stubborn, resentful, and very, very sexual. All of the Pisces, Taurus, Gemini's, Aquarius, all of the Aries, Cancers, and the Sagittarius, all of the Libras, Virgos, Capricorns, and Leos. All will fall and face their fate at the feet of the Scorpio. All of the Pisces, Taurus, Gemini's, Aquarius, all of the Aries, Cancers, and the Sagittarius, all of the Libras, Virgos, Capricorns, and Leos. All will fall and face their fate at the feet of the Scorpio. Once upon a time, the mighty hunter called Orion stood defiant on the earth with sword and draped in skins of lions. And he cried that he could slaughter any monster that would fight him. So incited by this Hera sent a scorpion to find him. And from a single sting, that son of Poseidon did die, and he was made a constellation and placed high into the sky. And so was Scorpio, but they were placed on opposite horizons, so one would never have to face the other one when rising. And to this day, the Scorpio is still the water sign in which so many underestimated monsters hide. I'm finding all the signs identify the body parts they are assigned, and so the Scorpios are genitals, which I don't find surprising. But I wonder if it's cause we stung the crotch of old Orion, symbolizing lust for Artemis Orion had inside him. Or perhaps we are Scorpio. Everybody wants to date a Scorpio. Everybody wants to mate with a Scorpio.
Oh my God! My favorite part of that was the crotch of Orion.
That is crazy.
That song.
That
is so
has to be a
funny.
first for me. I've never heard a song about astrology other than the moon is in the second
Oh yeah,
house.
the Age of Aquarius.
Age of Aquarius. That's
yeah,
it.
yeah. That song. You know, I was.
And that
looking-
reminded me of Weird Al Yankovic.
Yes,
Yeah.
totally,
Yeah.
totally. Yeah. It was kind of funny. So I was looking for very Scorpionic songs.
Yeah.
And usually like when I think of a Scorpio song, I think of like Joni Mitchell, classic
yeah.
Scorpio.
Uh-huh.
And so I was kind of doing a little search, and I'm like, what is this? And I think the name of the group is like Manslaughter something.
Oh,
What is it?
well, when I was looking earlier, I think it was something like Dark Lord of something. Yeah.
That's kind of appropriate. Yeah. So that's our little Scorpio song.
I'll
I
find
hope
out
you all
exactly.
enjoyed
It was Schaefer, Schaffer, the Dark Lord.
There you go.
That's who it was by.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. So I guess they pretty much summed it all up. I don't really need to talk anything about Scorpio.
That's hilarious.
But I thought what we would do today is if anyone hasn't, some of the best way to really contextualize astrology for yourself is through story. Through because I could sit here and talk a lot about Scorpios, but in your life, Scorpios, I'm sure you all have at least one Scorpio story in your life. That kind of epitomizes what that sign means for you. And if you have any Scorpio in your chart, then some of this today, some of what you hear might really resonate with you and might really ring true. So please feel free to call in and share your stories. Or if you want to find out a little bit more about if you have Scorpio in your chart, you're welcome to call. And even if I'm talking, sometimes I need to be stopped. So you're welcome to call, even if I'm on a roll talking about Pluto and talking about the mythology or talking about magic.
And if you're too shy, you can always go to astro.com and put in your chart information and then check out and see if you have any Scorpio in your chart.
Exactly.
I was actually going to look mine up right now, too, and see.
So our line is 323-284-7826, or you can join our chat and ask questions there. So Scorpios get kind of a bad rap. In fact, one of my favorite astrologers, Dane Rudger, claims that when the sun's in Scorpio, that the Scorpio cycle is strangely misunderstood. And I think, perhaps that's because Scorpios have an association with sex, with death, with the underworld, the subconscious, and things that have been considered dark.
Yeah, I have one word for Scorpios, penetrative.
Yes, that's a great word.
That's sex and
Yeah.
also for just the fact that they look you right in the eye and go deep into your soul, and very much like investigators. They're very good private detectives.
They are.
And uncovering the truth.
Yes, and if someone has a Mercury in Scorpio, in particular, that they tend to be very very good researchers. Once they get an idea about something, or they get they're hot on the trail of some kind of information or some kind of piece of news or something, they will go after it and get to the bottom of it. That's kind of what Scorpios do. Scorpio is a fixed sign. We have three types of signs: fixed, mutable, and cardinal. And fixed signs tend to be they get a bad reputation for being stubborn. But what happens with a fixed sign, and the reason why, is because fixed signs are great at standing still and problem solving. So they're not they even though they can initiate action and they can start new things in their lives, their primary focus and their primary emphasis is on taking care of business. So taking what is and making it better, building it, shaping it. I think we have a call.
We do.
We have a call. Hello, caller. You're on the air.
Hello, this is Robin, and I was just calling to see if you would look at my chart and see if I have any Scorpio in my chart.
Hi,
All right.
Robin.
Hi, Robin.
Hi, and what does that mean exactly?
What does it mean if you have Scorpio in your chart?
Yes, and if you look at my chart, tell me what it means if I have any and what that means.
Okay, that's a great question. So there are two ways to look at this. Number one, we all have Scorpio somewhere in our charts.
Oh, we all do.
We all do.
Oh.
So what happens is on a birth chart. Could you have a picture of a birth chart that we could show? That would be really fun.
Yeah, sure.
So on a birth chart, there is always one house, one aspect of your personal chart, one aspect of your life that is represented, that is ruled by Scorpio.
Okay.
And so whatever sign is on that house cusp is where Scorpio is in your chart. And then you might also have planets in Scorpio. The planets at the time of your birth are all in all different signs in the heavens, depending on the time, place, and date of your birth.
Okay, I'm showing a chart right now.
Excellent, wonderful, wonderful. So the chart that you're seeing right now has Scorpio. Hey, John, where is Scorpio in that chart?
Let's look it up and see. Bring
And
it
then
in
I'm going to pull up
closer.
Robin's chart while you're doing that and see where Robin's Scorpio is.
Okay.
So there might be a planet in Scorpio in your chart, so that planet represents and symbolizes an aspect of your personality.
And Scorpio looks like an M.
Yes.
Yes.
It looks like an M with a little devil tail.
Yeah.
So,
I'm going to zoom in on the chart here, and we'll try to see if I can find it in this chart and zoom in for it.
Great.
So let me go into this.
Okay. And Robin, you have Scorpio in... Hang on one second. My computer is being a little bit slow. Okay, here we go. Robin, Scorpio rules your third house, which is the house of communication. And so
Wow.
Yes, yes, you also have Neptune and Scorpio. And so, and Neptune and Pluto are generational. So they move signs very slowly. And so a lot of people who are born around the same time as you will have Neptune in Scorpio. And that gives you a real deepened sense of spirituality, a real desire to understand some of the mysteries of the way that the world works, and of things that are sort of hidden beneath the surface, things that we can't really see with our empirical senses. There's also a real purification process that comes through art therapy or through creativity or through your imagination. With Scorpio on your third house cusp, what this signifies for you is that your ideas, your thoughts, the third house is the aspect of your life that relates to your education, your mental processes, your ideas. It's thinking, it's communication. It also relates to brothers and sisters, and so there's a lot of depth to your thinking process, and the way that you relate to your brothers and sisters might seem at times sort of intangible, like otherworldly. Does that make sense to you?
It does.
Okay, and in that with Scorpio on the third house also, that tends to give you a very focused mental process, one that likes to get to the bottom of things and understand the truth. And I'm kind of tying in a couple of different factors here in your chart into that I'm synthesizing a couple of different factors by offering that one piece of information.
That definitely resonates with me, and I would expect that anybody that knows you would say the same thing. So
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Great.
For that.
Thank you. Thank you for calling.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Now mine is in, let's see, Scorpio is Uranus, 1 degree in 6th house. What does that mean?
So Uranus represents the part of our personality that loves change, that is excitable, that is open to new ideas and likes to think outside the box. And so this again is an outer planet, and so people who are born within a few years of you, a few years after you, are going to have this influence. And so what happens for our generation, because I'm in that generation too, is that we are the generation that kind of illuminated different. Scorpio deals with sexuality and psychology and alternative, like, we're the kind of the generation that made alternative lifestyles,
Okay.
like brought it more into the mainstream, that advocated for that.
Sure. Okay.
Uranus relates to the collective, and to the ways in which we expand our consciousness, and that we don't allow ourselves to be limited. I have too much I want to say.
Yeah.
We don't allow ourselves to be limited by the constructs of society. That's Uranus. Uranus is like the activist, the innovator, and so with that in Scorpio, that's that part of you that says, I'm not going to be stuck following someone else's rules.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
interesting. And so the 6th house.
Yeah, the 6th house is the house of work. It's daily responsibilities. It is also the house of, and he's laughing. He's like, Uranus in the 6th house. Change jobs much? Do something a little bit outside the mainstream.
Right.
But Scorpio in the 6th house gives you a real it gives you a desire to work on shows that deal with spiritual matters.
Yeah, for sure.
That kind of that, because you do Char's show, and you do mine and Dr. Shirley.
Dr. Shirley, yeah.
So you do a lot with psychology, a lot with spirituality, a lot with occult sciences.
Yeah.
And in your own work too, you employ your intuitive and psychic gifts. Those kind of supernatural phenomenon that are what we might call supernatural phenomenon of healing, of astrology, of tarot cards readings, mediumship, spirit communication, all of those things kind of fall underneath Scorpio's umbrella, just because Scorpio loves to access information that takes us down into our souls, our soul level reality. Scorpio is the sign that, because it is the 4th ray, and it's that point at which our soul and our body intersect. It's the point it represents that the kind of the merging of immanence and transcendence. And I'm getting a little esoteric here for some of you. So let me just put it to you in simple terms. What is sex? Sex is two people coming together. It used to be specifically like related to procreation. But it's two people coming together to merge and create something new. And when you merge and create something new, you could be creating a relationship. You could be, trying to have a baby. But that process of coming together, that process of really uniting the masculine and the feminine, if you will, that Mars and Venus, but by uniting seemingly disparate influences or elements, there's a co-creative process, and that's ultimately what Scorpio is interested in. It's interested in unifying. It's interested in merging. It's interested in that deep connectivity. It follows Libra, which Libra is, kind of light. It's like, hey, here we are, we're relating, we're getting together. It's balancing opposites, but it's not necessarily, Scorpio takes that balancing process and takes it to another level. It's like, not only are we balanced, we're becoming one. We're moving from relating to uniting. Libra's about harmony. Scorpio's about passion. It kind of intensifies all of that. John's looking at his chart.
Yeah, I'm looking at mine, but I'm actually looking at Michael Jackson's chart too.
Okay.
So
okay.
if we pull up Michael Jackson's chart, which is
who's a Virgo?
Yeah, he's a Virgo with a moon of Pisces and a rising of Pisces. So if we look at his chart,
now, why Michael Jackson? Where did that come from?
Well, the reason is because I was just doing a chart and I typed in Scorpio natal chart and Michael Jackson's popped up. So
that's funny.
So the interesting thing is for you to pull up. So if you pull up his chart, August 29th, looks like 1958. And he was, I don't know if they have his real birth time, but it says 12 p.m. in Gary, Indiana.
Okay.
So let's see what his Scorpio is. His ascendant is Scorpio, which is weird because it says his ascendant is Pisces on here too. So I don't know what's
Hang
going
on 1 second.
Okay.
I need to catch up with you.
Yeah.
You should send me these things.
Oh, I know. We're just kind of doing it on the fly. So Gary, Indiana.
And while I'm looking this up, because my computer's my computer's a little void of course today.
Got it.
But while we're looking this up, other famous Scorpios include Hillary Clinton, Leonardo
interesting.
DiCaprio. Yeah.
Because she's going through what she's going through right now with the hearings.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. Which is, so I have a lot of different thoughts about that.
Yeah.
But what Pluto loves more than anything, Pluto is Scorpio. Pluto is a co-ruling planet with Scorpio. It's co-ruled by Pluto and Mars, and what Pluto loves more than anything is to bring truth to the surface, to highlight and accentuate some of those. Anything that's been submerged, Pluto wants it to come up, and that's why under a really intense Pluto transit, if Pluto in the heavens today is forming a pattern or an aspect to something in your birth chart, you're experiencing a Pluto transit, and when under a Pluto transit, you're going to have memories that come up, and it's a great time to be seeing a therapist or seeing a healer or kind of uncovering some of those hidden aspects of yourself. Martin Scorsese is also a Scorpio.
Okay.
Joni Mitchell, who's my favorite. So I love Scorpio musicians especially, and so it's always fun when the sun's in Scorpio because I get to play some of my favorite
Well, maybe
artists.
we should look at Hillary Clinton's chart.
Yeah, we could do that.
Since that's all going on right now.
Yeah.
Right? Let me see if I can find all. Do you have it? I have what is I guess supposed to be her chart. October 26, 1947.
Yeah, it's coming up.
8:02 a.m.
Just a few days.
Yeah, in Chicago, Illinois.
Yes.
So she is a Scorpio, as you said.
Yes.
Moon is Pisces, and ascendant is Scorpio. So Scorpio rising too.
Right.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay, so then all this is going on with her. So let's maybe look at that.
Definitely. So what we can see here. So first of all, she's getting ready for a solar return. The sun is moving right into the place where it was at the time of her birth, which is kind of putting her in the spotlight. When we have a solar return, then we're drawing attention to ourselves in some way. The sun is pure energy. It is pure light. It is the spotlight in some ways, and so we have this going on. The sun's going to be kind of hitting her Venus, her Mercury. We talked about Mercury in Scorpio just briefly, but Mercury is the planet of communication. It's the planet of thoughts and ideas. And so when someone has Mercury in Scorpio, then they can be a little secretive, and we didn't this is one of those Scorpio key words. They're very protective of information. The reason why is because Scorpio is a water sign. It's a fixed water sign. And water is very emotional. Water signs are Cancers and Pisces and Scorpios. Your predominant theme is emotions, and for Cancers it's feeling and it's protecting because you're so sensitive, and for Scorpios it's like trying to figure out, regulate, control. Because you have so much emotional capacity, and especially if your moon is in Scorpio. If your moon's in Scorpio, then your emotional your emotions can swing to extremes. You feel everything on a spectrum. You feel everything intensely. This is one of the reasons why sometimes when your moon's in Scorpio, it can be a little challenging for you, just because there's a constant flow of emotions. You're super, water is conductive, and so you pick up on the emotions of everyone around you, and Pisces too. Pisces is another water sign. And Pisces just they're just like unrestricted, ruled by Neptune. Neptune goes as far out as it possibly can. So it's like feeling to the nth degree, and having to process that. But for Scorpios and for Scorpio people with that moon, that lunar influence in Scorpio, there's a real need to kind of gain mastery or gain control over emotions. And when Mercury's in Scorpio, like Hillary's chart, what happens is that there's a tremendous amount of that penetrating that you're talking about.
Yes,
the penetrating
right,
mind
yeah.
goes very deep, but it's very protective because of the uncertainty of because Scorpios can be very secretive, and it's secretive because they're trying to figure it out. They're trying to there can be a tendency to try to control emotions or regulate emotions, and so that Mercury in Scorpio can sometimes not always reveal everything. And so she's got the sun's going to be applying its influence to a number of points in her chart, kind of moving over her ascendant as well, giving her a lot of attention.
I just saw the highlights, from the hearing, and it's very. I think she's handling herself really well. I mean, really well. So,
and I think what's interesting is too is that another a subplot to this whole story is why are we spending our resources here?
Oh, I agree.
So there's that piece of things too, that piece of discovery that we're also saying, okay, is this really, what's the motivation?
Right.
Like what's beneath the surface here? Driving these questions and driving this investigation.
Yeah.
It's not all to find the truth. Perhaps there's a political motivation, someone trying to access power.
Right. Well, what's interesting, you said that it's a being in the spotlight, even though probably reluctantly to be in the spotlight.
Yeah.
But if you look at it, it's also a really good thing for her because she's getting grilled, and this is how she would handle herself probably if she was president.
Yeah.
So it's actually a very good political strategy in some ways.
Right.
It's all this free airtime to,
Yeah.
to start a campaign.
Totally.
Yeah. So it's
totally.
kind of interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I know we kind of weren't expecting to go there, but
I know.
but I think it's interesting when we're talking about Scorpio, and she is a Scorpio, and she is in the limelight right now, and under it's controversial in some ways.
Yes,
so.
and she's kind of she's a really good. So again, Scorpio stories. Hillary's a great example of a Scorpio.
Yeah.
First of all, her family, her relationship has been out in the public for its sexual.
True.
Like
Bill's
sexual, infidelities.
Yeah.
And at the same time, she's a fixed sign, so it shows us how she can stand and she can stay in this. Fixed signs don't like to move, and especially if someone's got Venus, which she does. Venus is the relationship planet. When Venus, Venus and Mars, both relationship planets. When Venus or Mars is in Scorpio, that person is going to, when they make a commitment, and it's very difficult for that person to budge. And the reason why is because Venus and Mars are about relating. They're about connecting. They're about that co-creative process. And Venus and Mars and Scorpio are about, transcendence through relating. And so it's not just transcendence out of my body or up into the ethers. It's transcendence through my body into deep connection with you or with somebody else. And so when that happens, that's a deep spiritual connection.
It looks like she has a pretty balanced chart for the most part, but there's a lot going on. And what house is that?
Yes. The ninth, the 9th, the 12th,
and the 12th.
And then her little moon in Pisces.
Because I have it up on the screen for people to
great.
see.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
Thank you, John. You're so good.
Well, I just was curious myself, and I'm like, I think the audience would want to see what's going on too when we're discussing it. So
definitely.
Cool.
Yeah. So I want to share some Scorpio keywords.
Yeah.
Because power, sex, and magic are three of them. Some Scorpio traits, really powerful emotions. There's always a sense of purpose with a Scorpio. Deep imagination, deep creativity. We have a lot of because there is such an intensity of emotions, there needs to be some kind of an outlet for Scorpios. Otherwise, that creative, that creative and emotional energy can just stagnate and become very, very uncomfortable and toxic. They are detailed researchers. They're very discerning. They're perceptive, intuitive, determined, and passionate. They can also be really jealous. Again, their process of merging with someone else is deep. It's unifying. That doesn't mean that they're always faithful, because they because that merging is so intense. There can be a need to there can be a fear of that kind of commitment, and so so there's this kind of challenge within that personality. They can be very secretive, they can be very possessive, and they can tend to hold on to the past. And have a very difficult time letting go. That's true of most of our fixed signs, but especially, any kind of emotional pain, Scorpios tend to take that very seriously.
Defensive.
They can be very defensive. At the same time, incredibly intuitive, incredibly spiritual. The sign is all about regeneration, transformation. And so these are the people that go deep within and explore those parts of themselves. So for all of you listeners out there, if you're looking at, how do you make the most of this month, and how do you access this Scorpio power for yourself? How do you welcome magic? How do you have more sex? How do you manifest this Scorpio energy in your life? I have a protocol for you. Number one, start today. Communicate with spirit. Find some really sit in and make some time to sit in relationship with your loved ones who've passed over, with your spirit guides, with God. Engage your prayer life. Engage your meditative process. That's number one. Number two, do some journaling. Unbury those subconscious emotions, because they're going to come up, and you want to stand on the forefront of that activity. Ask yourself, what can I die to in my life? I know that sounds really dramatic, but we're in Scorpio. What no longer serves me, and then slowly begin the process of letting go. And that might be a relationship, and that's hard, or that might feel really hard. But by the time you get to the end of this month, this Scorpio cycle, you're going to find that the letting go allows you to open up something new. This is a time of the soul and the personality coming together, and so you have the ability to magnetize new creation, new life, new opportunities into your life. And so it's really exciting. It's really dynamic. It's a time of passion. Find what it awakens your passion. And if you don't know what that is, then perhaps there's something that needs to be let go of first. That discovery will emerge for you. And look to our examples, our Scorpio examples. And I'll give a couple more. Katy Perry, Matthew McConaughey, Georgia O'Keeffe, Jimmy Kimmel, Allie Lang, my sister, and of course both of my parents, Lynn and Gary Lang. No, but I'm just joking. But yeah. So look at how some of those live their lives. Find sort of mentors for your own source of power. And that's our show today. Okay. I've got hair on my face. I get too excited, and then it's just in my own world.
It clings to you.
I'm very passionate about the subject.
You go.
And so as I'm writing my horoscopes, I'm going to be touching on these themes for the month of November, and really outlining for you how to make more magic happen in your life.
And that's at The Live Box Magazine?
TheLiveBoxMagazine.com.
All right.
And that will be November 1st is when those will be posted.
Great.
Next week, we have a really exciting show. We have Colby Psychic Rebel coming on, and we're going to talk about mediumship and psychic abilities and what's the difference between the two.
And your adventures in...
And our adventures in Nashville. And she will be giving some readings on air, too. Cool. So she will be on next week. Stay tuned for that. This weekend, Marianne Williamson's Aphrodite training is happening. She was on our show just at the beginning of this month. Go back and watch that show. That was October 9th show. Listen to her talk about balancing Aphrodite and Athena and embodying Aphrodite in the goddess of love in your life. It's going to be transformative. And there's a promo code that you can use, Rachel Lang, RACHELLANG. There are still some spaces available, and you can live stream from anywhere in the world. So check that out. I really, really recommend it. Enjoy the full moon. Send us your full moon stories. Send us your Scorpio stories, and have a wonderful, blissful week. Thank you.